student, today we continue with chapter 2 on from architecture 110. I have 2 classes, so that's why if you want to look at the video clip, make sure that's which one you need to follow, architecture 110 or architecture 113. So this is architecture 110, introduction for architectural design and environmental. So that's why this is continue with architecture 110, chapter 2 in the book. Why not to be an architect? Remember on chapter 1 we focus on why to be an architect. This is the negative side from why not to be an architect. And we have a few questions. After you read all of them, you need to answer 8 questions and email for me. I just friendly remind with you that if you email me the answer, you got the credit for the class, and beside of that you get attendance, remote attendance. I usually give you 5 to 10 for each of the answer like that. So if I got the email before the weekend, and I can add from 5 to 10 points for you for that chapter. So just remind you like that. Go back with chapter 2. We have many points to focus on chapter 2. The first one is they ask them become architect. On of career in architects, you should know that it's around 50-50 chance to become licensed architects. I just explained with you what difference between the architects and the licensed architects. One student, after you finish 5 years for the major from architecture, you got graduate from bachelor degree in architects, and you need to work in professional office, either architecture contraction, some official they work regard with architecture major, and you get the credit for that. If you got minimum 3 years working experience plus bachelor degree on architecture, you can apply for licensed architecture. And the licensed architecture, they have 6 different divisions for you get the test. Every time you get one of them, and if you pass on of the 7 or on of the 6 tests or exam, you can get the licensed architect. Now, with the architect have bachelor degree, you can work in professional and you work in the teamwork, but you cannot sign. That means you cannot sign for any projects you design for. You need to work with teamwork, and you cannot open your office. So that means licensed architect is the one you need to pass the exam. They call exam ARE. And if you pass the exam after you finish bachelor degree and 3-year minimum for working experience, and you can apply for a licensed architect. After you pass the exam, you can become licensed architect. With licensed architect, you can open the office, you can sign for any projects you design for, and you respond with that projects. Okay, so now if you didn't have licensed architect, you just have bachelor degree in architecture, you can be work with inside from the office, or you can work with any company. They have the professional working on architecture. So you just work, but you cannot sign, you cannot open the office, and you not respond for any project you work with. So that difference between licensed and unlicensed architect. Many undergraduate students who select architecture as their major will never complete the professional program and receive an accredited degree in architecture. That is 2 years degree. This one you can do like you finish some course in architecture in the college, add with some general education, and you can get the credit for architecture, but just AA degree. And if you transfer, you can get bachelor degree for architecture. Architecture students drop a long way because of changing interest. For example, in beginning they like to study architecture and it just few course or few semester they feel not interesting anymore and they change another major. Some of the reason is because architecture it take longer than another major. It take usually 5 years. Some students they got difficult in academic work, or they lack of talents, loss of motivation, and they change the major after that. Some students may attract to other field for economic reason or because they have talents more suitable to other career option. Some people they like to do for service for economic, and they like to be business administration. They can start with computer science, engineer, something like that. There are many reasons for the student can change the major after they study architecture, like one few course or in the short term. Many reasons, and that's one we call that the art of become architects. Some women and they cannot finish the degree because many reasons around. For example, they start with family, they got the stressful when they follow the career full time, or they need to raising the children, so that's why they cannot finish the major from architecture. Few of the women they never return architecture practice because it takes long time, so they cannot complete the degree. AIA they show that less than a third of architects in the firm are owner, principal or partner, so that's why a lot of them are working architects, employees, not employers. One more time, employers is some people they can hire a lot of architects and maybe they are the licensed architect because when they open the office they respond with everything they sign up for. So that's why AIA they have the report and they say that's 1/3 from the architects in the firm they are owner, they are partner, and the rest of them employee. Number 2, lack of work. Lack of work is probably the most frustrating difficulty for architect face. Employment of the firm in the video is directly related to the local or national economic condition. When the times are good for economists, growth, investment in the building increase, that means architects get busier and a lot of job for architecture. Even the national economy is strong. Lack of work can be reserved from city, county, state, and depend on economic condition. That's one. So a lot of the architects that they hired by clients when the projects move forward, and lay off when the projects are suspended or terminated. So that means because architects work a lot by work service for clients, so if the projects move forward, then that's why architects have the work. But if layoff, they will get the layoff when the project is terminated, so it's belong to that one. And a lot of architects they got depend on the national economies. For example, economics increase and a lot of real estate increase, a lot of projects for architecture major, and that's why architects have behind by the client. If not, and they got a layoff. In the building process, they have many reasons for the project can start and stop anytime. For example, the financial can get about that for about the time, can affect on the work, and after that, any single projects can last 1 or 2 projects. That means many reasons around to make the building process is stop. So that is one of the point for why not to be architects. Projects usually are responded by property owner, developer, or lending institution. Governments can be rain the permit, and the government agency, for example the city, they can give the permit for the architects, and after that they construct by contractor. The building process is so complex. It starts from design, and after that it ends from construction. So later on I will share with you about how to finish one project from start from A to Z. That means when you start to design, after that you finish to design, you submit in the city correction, and after that approval, you get the permits and go with the instruction with the inspector to go what time, how many time. So that's why many detail about that. We have one chapter will be share with you about that. Number 3, competition. It's not just for the major from architecture. We can see that's on of the major. They have the competes between this one to another one, between this team to another team. So that's why competition it's happen any major, not just architecture. Okay, but with the architecture field it's unending. When you start to school, you need to go with beginning of the years the job seeking, and after that you have employment, continue in the markets and practice. So many times you have compete with another people. When the time are tough, architecture firm they can spend months looking unsuccessfully for the new job, because the number of competitors is so great in comparison to amount of available works. So that's why competition it happen with when you start to study until you graduate. When you get the job and you continue to do that in the companies, you have a lot of you have to compete with another one. So today the competition successfully requires soft and hard selling. A lot of people they have marketing in department, so that's why marketing public relation may effects on the costly from architecture. So who believe on their reputation alone should be sufficient to attract clients. That means you need to work well with the clients. If you work well with the client, you can get the job, and after that they can recommend you for another one, and you have more change to work on the career. So one of the main point for the competition is you have very good one for marketing department in your office, and after that you have very good public relationship for make sure that all of the projects can go through in the fast time, quick time. Number 4, inadequate compensation. Architects can earn enough most of the time to live comfortably, but few ever match income and assets of their comparably educated contemporaries. I know a lot of people thinking architects is the one they can earn a lot of money depending on the time. But architecture can make a lot of money for many reasons, but not get rich, because many architects they believe that they are not compensated for the certain, not well compensated for what they do, and their responsibility they shoulders. A lot of architects they have the goal for make money, and after that they serve it for some people need it, and they usually do a lot of donate in their major. For example, in the country, if something happen, for example disaster happen in Florida or some state, and they really need a lot of architect help for design for the affordable house, for that area, and a lot of architects go there. They design with nothing. So that's why some people, they said architects, they can work a lot of money, but after that they spend a lot of money also to serve it for another people. That's the reason they're not to get rich. And another one, architects' dependency on economists and the project's circumstance. Their income, and that's professional whose earnings are stable and increase over time. So that's why when you graduate from architecture in a bachelor degree, maybe you get average around more or less 60,000 a year. After that, every year you get experience, you can get higher, and it's depend on the economic situation, and your salary can be up and down. Follow that. Usually, if you have more experience, and your income will be get higher. Real experience teach architects that some clients view them as just another vendors, and the clients believe that architectural fees are excessive yet demand extra work at no cost. With me, my experience working on architecture in almost 30 years, I see that a lot of clients, they just worry about how long you can start to design, and when will it finish, how much it costs, and they usually compare with another architects. After that, they ask more works, change idea, they do many things like that, and they wish it's a no cost. So that's why in experience, you need to focus on the architectural fees. Usually have the paperwork or document, because if not, the client, they can change many times. They can add, they can feel that architect works is something is no cost, and even we do extra work, and they feel that is a normal. So a lot of the client, they just need to know some kind like high quality with low cost, and they try to hire the architect like that. They compare with another one, and finally they got the deal with us to get no cost for extra work. That's so we can say that is so picky. Architect can earn more than other engineer, doctor, attorneys, etc., but it's not easy. They can learn with the other major, look like bio. They can call that, they can take the second major, they can get the dual major. Usually in engineer, because it's very close together if they studies on of the architecture major, and they can thinking they get another major engineer, something like that. And some people, after they work few years and they're not interested with the major, and they go with another major longer, for example medical doctor or attorneys, lawyer. But it's really not easy if you do like that. Number 5, to get lost in the crowd. Most architects succeed, meaning among other things, they gain in some measure from professional standing and reputation is not the same. Some large architecture office, like more than 100 employees, many probably would characterize themselves as unfulfilled, underappreciated, underpaid, and overworked architects with plenty of talents. But let's luck. Most will have successful, complete professional education, and many will be licensed, will be have useful to architecture practice. But still order, they will dreaming, and they waiting for the right moment, the right change to emerge from the crowd. This is few of the interesting projects I just put on here for make the lecture is not boring. You have something to look at the film. Number 6, the risk of envy. Envy seems more likely to be felt by actors in Hollywood than design professors. Many architects may imply that their work is uninteresting, unworthy of notice, and it can lead to feeling of envy. The reason because they feel that they're not interesting more with the architectural major, so that's why they lead to the feeling of envy. Architects are beyond usually feelings of frustration, something accompanied with a trace of ill and resentment of comparative success of others. Architects have parallel feelings of respect and admiration for their competitors and peers. Loss of job you thought you should have, falling out of fashion, and fashion change can provoke. These sentiments are not restrict the young and unsuccessful architects. That is one of the risks from envy. May some reason outside effect on them, the trace of view, resentment of comparative success from others, or some kind like the feeling of respect and admiration. They have their competitors and the peers. They feel loss of the job and they feel falling out from the fashion on the fashion chains can provoke. They are one of the risks of envy. Number 7, lack of power and influence. Some architects they aspire to the prominence, and not through the design practice, but rather through the exercise from the political power and influence. I don't know why, but some of the reason when you say, okay, he or she is architect, and another one thinking he have the power in political, but it's really not. If you look at the city work, and you can see on of department, they have architect, but the architects not really high position in the political. So they want to gain the respect and the admiration of their own professional colleges and the clients. They try to among the movers and their community to be consulted on made to outside in the realm of architecture. They have been mayor of city, county council, etc. They can be mayor of the city. They can be building official in the city, but higher position I didn't see much. In U.S. society, although architects gain some status as a designer, they will little political or civil influence. That means they not work a lot in the political. A citizen architect may be able to successfully combine professional practice with the meaningful public engagement. Anxiety, disappointment, depression. To be happy, well adjusted for architects, you must be thick, skin, and emotionally tough. A professional designer architect produces work that is criticized, compromised, and often redone. No one likes rejection and disappointment, but architects must be able to accept and deal with it. They are bitter medicines to swallow, but architects have touched them. Drop out of architecture may be the only alternative for avoiding anxiety, disappointment, and depression if compensated for success prove unattainable. This is some of the funny picture you see in the book. Is dialogue between two people about architecture and how can good design on the roof one. If you look in the book, few of the picture is so funny, and of course it gives you the message. Some kind like opposite with the one they draw, but it's so funny. Lack of attitudes is one of the point from not to be architects. Some people, they do not meet their professional goals because they lack of essential resource to do. Every year, teacher of architecture see prize students who nevertheless seem to be pursuing the wrong career because their attitudes clear lie elsewhere. Some students, they study in architect, but they not belong to this major. They follow something like the wrong career, and so that's why they belong to another major. So that's why they never focus on the architecture major. Even they study in architecture major, but they do something else. So that's not very good. So we call that the lack of attitudes. Being intelligent is no guarantee of attitude from architecture. That's the reason a lot of people thinking intelligent is one of the attitude for architecture, but it's not. It's not guaranteed. Something happens, something not. The talent can be brought forth and natural, but not touch. That means the talent is come from beginning, and it start from there. It's no people can teach you how to do for the talent. Talent can be developed, inspired, but not because of formal education. Even we have educate, but the talent is come from themselves. They cannot touch by the teacher. So that's very personal. Intuition, instinct, and inventiveness are indispensable to architectural design. Erudition and intelligence are necessary but not sufficient. Some people thinking architects should be intelligent and erudition, but this is really not necessary. It's all necessary, but it's not the sufficient. Doesn't mean you need to be that, but you can call that it necessary, but it's not sufficient. That means it's required. It need but not required. From that one, it's so confused. This is one of design from the patio outside from the restaurant. Look, the view from the beach is so beautiful. One of design for the trellis, so you can get the lights coming here, the natural light and the air from the beach. This is very important for the view when you design for the restaurant. Just for you can see chain from the lecture, I add some interesting design for you can see that architecture is something creative, and design is very interesting. Number 10, legal and financial risk. The major legal risk can cause client to suffer monetary damage. Similar to other professional service like physician, dentist, engineer, architects purchase liability insurance to cover most of the cost of defending and settling the suit in case if something happened with the project, and they use that insurance to cover for the client. In the case architects were uninsured, they would be sued. If the architect didn't have the insurance, they can be sued because sometimes happen, and the cost to pay for the client is so much, and they cannot cover for that much, and they can be sued for that case. And this one, a licensed architect, they need to respond with everything. That's why when some architecture student, they finish bachelor degree and they work in that for a long time, some people they not like to get the licensed architect because sometimes you need to respond with a lot of things. For example, you rent the office, you need to pay for employees. Besides the salary, you need to pay for insurance, and after that you need to buy insurance for the company. So many things you need to respond for when you are licensed architects, and you should have very good business working experience, because if not you cannot control on of the office with many things you need to pay for in the long term. So now the claims are often unrealistic expectation by clients and consumer, leading them to sue architect even when there is the little or no evidence of architectural wrongdoing. Some clients they can sue architect with nothing or just very minor thing, and sometimes it's not the wrongdoing. They sue because they like to sue. And if you don't have insurance to cover, it's hard for you to need to deal with the client like that. So that's why the architect they should have the insurance to cover for the case like that. It's not the wrongdoing, but they try to sue. They got some money, so that's why architect need to have insurance to deal with that case. Disclosure. Perhaps the greatest overall risk becoming architects. Architects sometimes provide service for little or no pay, hoping for something to do the future, but ending up with nothing. Something they do very, for a lot of service, but they do nothing, or with very tiny fees to cover for those projects. Usually there is not even the upsetting consolation of having made up a lot of money. Sometimes they didn't get a lot of money with the big projects. With the purpose is to serve it for another people. So a lot of architectural firm they serve it for the goal from design, but not a lot from the purpose is the money. For anyone contemplating for just starting the career in architecture, there is no way to predict where the choice will lead. That means that if you follow the career in architects, you cannot predict anything happen in the future. The one you can do is just try at the best to love your career, to work with your career, and you devote on of your ability to that career if you want to select architecture major. There will be rewards and frustration, moments of delight and depression. And I guess that all of the major get that, not just architecture, but you need to be strong to stay, to work, and to follow your major if you select it. The prospective architect can hope only that the sum of the assets will exceed the sum of liability, yielding a positive network that's regard with financial. So that's why this is all of the content from lecture chapter 2 in the book. I have a question for this one, so I hope that you answer all of them and email for me by the due date if you look at the schedule or on the weekend. So either way, so which one is feel flexible for you, do it. Answer all of the question for me. When you email back to me the answer, you got the credit for that. If you study with me, and you should know that beside of quiz projects and the question, everything like this, you get a lot of credit from me. For example, You email me on maximum is 2 days a week, you get attendance, remote attendance, 5 points for each. And if you have answer all of the question, for example, we have a question right here. If you answer, write everything, you can get up to from 5 to 10 points for one review lesson like this. And I added on the credits one, attendance, remote attendance, maximum 2 times weeks, and all of the credits I added on for you. So now, if you got a lot of credits, for example, you got 100 points, 200 points, and if you look at the schedule, quiz is 100 points for each, and presentation 200 points, and the final maybe 150 or 200, something like that. However, if the credits from beginning to the end semester, if I add it on, you qualify. For example, you got 150 or 200 for attendance, remote attendance, or the credits on of the question you answer for me. If you get high like that, and maybe you qualify for skip final. That means a lot of students, previous students, study with me before, they skip final because on of the attendance, remote attendance, and credits, they got cover for the final. That means it high like that. So if you want to get the credits in this course, number one, you can email me like maximum 2 times a week to answer all of the question, and you get the credit. It can maximum until 10 points, and you get on of them like this, and maybe you qualify for skip final. So I hope that you can do, because it's a very easy. Okay, so basically this is the end from chapter 2, and this is the question for chapter 2. Email me answer by due date or on the weekend. Okay, and see you next one. Bye bye.